In December 2023, prices in Argentina were rising at 211% a year. Money was melting in people's hands, shops repriced their shelves weekly, anyone who could bought dollars. Then a man who had never run a government won the presidency, promising to take a chainsaw to the state. 2.5 years later, the policy record can be measured. And almost nothing about them is simple. We will compare the record across inflation, output, poverty, public finances, and the exchange rate. By the 1930s, Argentina's earlier promise was already fracturing. What followed was a long argument about who pays for the state. The country defaulted and froze its citizens' bank accounts. It burned through currency after currency, lopping the zeros off and starting again. For decades, the state spent more than it collected and covered the gap by printing pesos. Print enough of them, and each one is worth less. Milei's answer was shock therapy, delivered by decree. He devalued the peso by 54% on purpose. He cut subsidies on electricity, gas, and transport. A general strike followed. Monthly inflation reached 25.5% in December. The devaluation and price adjustments coincided with the December spike. Monthly inflation then declined through most of the period. Then, month by month, it came down. By May of 2025, monthly inflation touched 1.5%. Across a full year, the fall is stark: 211% the year he inherited, 118% the next, 31.5% in 2025, the lowest in 8 years. He shrank the cabinet and cut more than 60,000 national public sector posts. He created an entire ministry whose job was to delete regulations. And he did what no Argentine government had managed in almost 20 years. He balanced the budget. A surplus in 2024, another in 2025. The primary fiscal balance remained positive in both 2024 and 2025. Real output fell 1.3% in 2024, then grew 4.4% the following year. The adjustment also raised regulated household costs as electricity, gas, and transport subsidies were reduced. The initial contraction coincided with falling real incomes and higher measured poverty. Community kitchens continued serving households during the initial adjustment. Pensioners held weekly Wednesday protests outside Congress. Police were deployed at repeated demonstrations. INDEC measured urban poverty at 52.9% in the first half of 2024. That was up from 41.7% in the second half of 2023. The official series rose from 41.7% to 52.9%, then fell to 28.2%. On the official series, the later rate was below the pre-inauguration level and the lowest since 2018. A UCA estimate using different basket and income methods placed the later poverty rate higher. UCA estimated about 36%. Because the methods and periods differ, the levels are not directly comparable. Unemployment rose to 7.5% at the end of 2025. The IMF also reported higher informality and slower real wage growth during the recovery. In April 2025, the International Monetary Fund handed Argentina $20 billion. And Milei did what no recent president had dared. He dismantled the currency controls that had caged the peso for years. For years, Argentina had official and parallel exchange rates. By July 2026, the premium had narrowed mostly because the official rate moved higher. Here is the central bank's pile of dollars. It has more than doubled since he took office, from 21 billion to 48 billion. These are gross reserves and include funds associated with IMF, Chinese, and United States credit arrangements. Demand for dollars increased before the October midterm election. Reserves drained. Argentina missed the fund's targets. The United States Treasury opened a $20 billion swap line. Argentina drew $2.5 billion in October. In the October election, lists led by La Libertad Avanza received the largest nationwide lower house vote share. Lists led by La Libertad Avanza won 40.7% of the nationwide lower house vote, the largest aggregate share. His bloc has 95 deputies, short of the 129 needed for quorum. Passing laws still requires allies. Which brings us to now. Inflation fell for 18 straight months, and then it stopped. It remained near 33% through May 2026. The fund once thought Argentina would be back in single digits by now. It now says 2028. So, did the chainsaw work? Inflation is a fraction of what he inherited. The budget is balanced for the first time in a generation. On the official measure, poverty in the second half of 2025 was below the second half of 2023. The adjustment coincided with a recession in 2024 and lower real incomes. Much of the reserve pile is borrowed. Registered wages were still below their pre-shock level, and the minimum pension plus bonus below its November 2023 purchasing power. By May, annual inflation was 33.2%, and the decline had plateaued. Whether the gains persist will depend on future fiscal, monetary, employment, and income outcomes.